I came upon a story a few years ago, and it wasn't until I revisited the Trinity Chapel at Mathergate that it came to mind. Up the hill, past the village green and school, you come to a place where three roads meet. Here is a large stone, built into a wall, bearing the initials SM, and a date. This spot is marked on the Ordnance Survey map as Butterley, but it is usually spoken of locally as Mathergrave, according to a story I read in Highways and Byways in Derbyshire by John B Firth. One Samuel Mather had cut his wife's throat and committed suicide, and had been buried at the crossroads as a felo de se. Later inquiries brought to light a different story. From the old parish registers at Morton, it appears that in 1716 Samuel Mather of Brackenfield had an illegitimate daughter, and a child became chargeable to the rates. Rather than face a scandal, Mather committed suicide in an old barn about 100 yards from the present vicarage. There is a warrant for the statement that he had guilt of murder on his conscience. Local tradition also relates that all persons who had committed suicide were to be drawn to his grave by 2 bullocks. On this occasion, while the animals rested on the way, an ill-omened raven flew down and settled on the corpse. The episode of the raven looks like the usual rustic embroidery on the original legend. Some years ago, of the widening of the highways, the body was found and buried beneath a wall bounding Mathergrave cottage garden. His bones were relocated under the cottage wall. A large stone is inserted in the wall with the initials SM, Samuel Mather, which is no longer seen with the naked eye due to weathering. The direction obelisk is inscribed 1730. This guide stoop is not in its original position, but was only moved a short distance from the original site. The stoop is of gritstone and is inscribed on 3 sides: Elpherton Road 1730, Matlock Road and Bakewell Road. Several crossroads up and down the Derbyshire countryside are pointed out where, according to local tradition, some unhappy wretch who has taken his life with full knowledge lies interred without Christian rites. Sometimes there was the added barbarity of a stake driven through the body, a crude indignity only abolished a century ago by George IV, when it was ordered that a felo de se should be buried within 24 hours of a verdict of a coroner's inquest, in unconsecrated ground, and in the dark hours between 9 and midnight. Public opinion has undergone a marked change with respect to suicide, though to what extent the old feeling of horror has been modified I will not attempt to say.